again and welcome to Greenfingers. Today I've selected out some West Australian wildflowers that I'd like to show you and for you to plant in your garden. A selection that you could use collectively, that is to plant them all together and have a combination, a winning display of West Australian plants in winter that'll flower from now till spring, or you could use them individually as spot plants or just fill-in plants. There's a lot of people that have been inquiring about plants that just fill in, just spots, either be semi-shade or in particular spots in the garden. So as I go through, I could recommend that most of these would be good fill-in spots. So if you've got a spot and you want them, say, like 1 to 1 metre or 2 metres or 3 metres, you probably jot them down and put them in. So to begin with, the red bottle brush that's flowering at the moment on the screen there is Kunzea pulchella. Now, Kunzea pulchella probably would be my favourite bottle brush. Wouldn't be a really popular one. It's probably not known as much as the callistemons. Now, bottle brushes, generally the longer brush, have been promoted in the past eastern states. The majority of them are eastern states varieties, and would tend to get a bit woody in West Australia, so you'd have to prune them religiously after flowering every year to keep them compact. But this one, Kunzea pulchella, flowers from now right through till spring. It's a very long flowering one, and it grows to about 2 metres by 2 metres, quite a spready one, and it keeps compact. You don't need to prune it every year. It's a really neat type of bottle brush, and it has fine little erica type leaves and not the long ones as in other bottle brushes. It grows naturally in the granite outcrops throughout the wheat belt, so you can see it comes from a dry area, and it's very suitable to the hottest, driest conditions. You've got the really hot northerly spot, so that's a good one for that position. Or it would grow just in a shrubbery. If you've got a shrubbery, it would be okay in all situations, and even in a reticulated garden it would go very well. The point I could make there, if you have got, you're putting all these in a reticulated garden, they will grow a little bit bigger than the heights that I will give you. Compared with if you weren't watering them after the first year, they'll probably stay to a smaller size. Now, to begin on the combination of these three varieties, as I said, each quarter I'd give you a combination that I think would give you a bit of a lift in the garden. If you look in the garden and you haven't got a lot of colour, these three varieties should give it a bit of a lift. And the amount of display you get would depend on the quantity of plants you put in. If you put one of each, well, that'll look okay if it's a small area. But if it's a bigger area, I'd recommend that you put in 3 or 4 of each variety, and the display would be much more floribund, and you get a better impact of colour. So to use in the ground cover in the front, I would use Grevillea thelemanniana. It comes in several forms nowadays. Nurseries stock a lot of varieties of Grevillea thelemanniana. It grows naturally on the coast of West Australia. It grows in limestone and the sea sand. So for people on the coast, right around West Australia, that's the one I would use as a ground cover in a shrubbery or a fill-in situation. It does occur in green foliage, and this particular one has a very attractive little grey foliage plant and producing these little net spider Grevillea flowers. It starts flowering now, and it'll go right through to winter, through to spring rather, and it's a good one. You shouldn't need to trim that one. It's a fairly neat, compact little ground cover, varying from say quarter to, or about a quarter of a metre high to about 2 metres across. Now behind that, coming up, I would plant a pink myrtle, or 1 or 2 or 3 pink myrtles, and you're moving into a different coloured flower and a different type of foliage, a little bit erect in its growth, but it's so attractive. Most people would know the pink myrtle nowadays, but it's such a good one, and it's say to 1 metre. It's a really good little compact myrtle. Anything you can say there? It's an excellent vase-picking one. If you, as they start to bud up, I would snip it and start vase-picking it. They all respond to a little bit of pruning, and once you've got them in the garden, they're cultivated natives, so you can prune them and they respond to vase-picking. So after the Pink Myrtle there, I would put a Hakea at the back, and my favourite Hakea would be this one for winter, Hakea francisiana, previously known in some of the older books as Hakea multilineata. But Hakea francisiana is one of our best Hakeas from the dry area. Again, it's in the wheat belt heavier soil types, but it responds very well in our sands, in the coastal metropolitan sands. So it's a really good one. Now, to define a situation for it in the garden, in that situation there, at the back of the combination there, I didn't describe the flowers there. It has these large pink bottle brush type flowers born on the old wood, and they're starting now, and they'll continue to go right through till spring in that one. Pink, they vary from a pale pink to a deep pink, and it's a really good, you could almost call that one a bottle brush again, with the grass leaf, called the common name there, the grass-leafed Hakea. Now, its growing habit is erect. It's a very upright, woody growing one. So if you've got a position, say, next to on the surface X, next to the drive, and you haven't got much room, this is an excellent one to put along there. It'll grow straight up, and you can trim it to fit. And you mustn't be afraid to trim them. I think if you trim them back to about that type of wood, it's fairly safe. If you prune a plant, that would be almost tip pruning type. Severe pruning would be going back to a piece of wood about an inch thick, I think. But that type of pruning to about there would be good, and it would respond. So if it's coming out on the drive a bit, you can trim it up, and don't waste it. Put it in a vase. It's an excellent Hakea. Another. Firstly, I'll show you how to plant that combination to get the winning effect there. That's the size plant I would recommend to plant. A 6-inch pot is ample. I think it's a good size. It's no advantage in planting great big ones. I would tease the roots off, the lower ones, or you could cut them off. Now, by doing this, what you're doing is there's a lot of difference of opinion in nurseries, depending on how long it's been in the pot, whether you should cut them, but you definitely can't hurt a plant by taking those roots off the bottom, and I would recommend it to just trim them off, and now they will go straight down. If they were all twining around, it'd have all sorts of problems in its future life. So I would just pop that in, wouldn't worry about any soil preparation for all these varieties. Make a little bit of a mound there for the water, and that one will be okay. As I said, 1, 2 or 3 or 4, the more you plant, the better effect you're going to get there. And then the Pink Myrtle, again, a lot of these natives don't develop a lot of root system, like not compared with, say, eucalypts. The stronger growing trees would make a lot of root system, and they'd be very matted in there, but you can see there, there's not a great deal of roots. It's a very mild root system. So there, again, that's a good size to put in. Now, you think that looks a bit close, but that is correct. I'd put those right next to each other there. It seems like it's planted on top of each other, but remembering the Grevillea will run around as a ground cover, and your Pink Myrtle will come up. So they're not crowded. They'll be very compatible there. And again, put 2 or 3 in to give your maximum effect. And at the back, I'd put the Hakea in. Again, remember, take those bottom bits off. Seems a little bit cruel maybe, but it's not. It doesn't affect them at all. And just pop them in there. Now, as I said, a little bit of a mound around there, and give them a gallon of water each straight away. Even though it's raining, give them a gallon of water to puddle it in and get rid of the air pockets around each one. And you can see there, as I said, it looks a bit crowded, but your ground cover is going to come around, the Pink Myrtle will come up, and the Hakeas will go straight up. So they won't be crowded. That's a really good combination. And as I said, you can use them individually or do it like that. And I think that is a good combination. Now, we're depending on the soil types you're in, you'll have to select different varieties. Like some varieties This would be okay for sand and gravel, but if you're in a clay, possibly you'll have to go for a different combination. So it doesn't apply, but those ones are a good combination there, will grow anywhere. Now onto another delicate little attractive climber or ground cover is Billardiera erubescens. The common name is the Chapman Valley creeper. It's a really handsome little climber, and if you've got a position, say a super thick 6 fence, and you only want something to spread about 2 metres by 2 metres high, and just gently and not go too crazy, that's an excellent little one there. Or a pole, just one pole on a patio, you just want to break it up, put a bit of wire around it, and plant that one. That's just an attractive little evergreen climber in Billardiera erubescens. One with a bit of difference is the Dryandras. As I said, Dryandras are similar. They're in the Proteaceae family. Proteus, Banksias and Dryandras are all in the Proteaceae family. But Dryandras are unlike the Banksias. They don't have the big long cone. They just have these small, very small flowers tucked in and sitting on the stems. This one is Dryandra nobilis. Again, it's a really attractive one. Ideal in the soil type would be the hills, would be probably the best. Does well in the sand as well. Excellent vase-picking plant. Tracks the birds. They're just forever flying in and out of it. So it's a really good one. And probably its main attribute would be that it's an erect growing one, straight up and down. A little bit like the Hakea there. It's a straight up and down plant. And for a limited area, say a metre wide, you can plant one of these and it'll go 3 metres high, and you can just keep trimming it all the time. So there's an interesting range and a few hints on gardening at this time of the year, and I hope that's been of some interest. Until next week with more gardening, cheerio.